Hi, this is John, and today I'm working on replacing my power locks. The problem I was having is, whether with the remote or with the controls at the armrest, either one I could not sometimes get it to unlock. And I only seem to have that problem on hot days. So I figured this was the original locking actuator that actually fits just inside right here on these 3 bolts, and this is what you're dealing with. And on hot days it just would not electronically unlock the truck, and sometimes it wouldn't lock it. And so finally I just had enough, because I can't leave my windows down when I'm on the job or anything to get into my truck whenever it decides not to work. And I can't really use the key. As you can see here, someone popped out the key, or they punched through and unlocked it manually and stole what was inside my truck. And so but I don't want to put another key mechanism back in there, because it just takes a matter of seconds for somebody to break into your truck that way. I mean, it's just a few seconds and they're in your truck, stole your items, and they're gone. So I've went ahead and just taken out the whole key mechanism and the rod. What they do is they break through, then they just stick a screwdriver there, and then they're able to unlock this from inside on that rod, that rod that's attached to your keyhole. So that's all gone, and now they can't get into my truck because there's no rod visible through the hole. But now I'm faced with the fact that, okay, if this locking mechanism fails, how do I get in my truck now? Well, I pay an annual fee to have them, if it ever happens, they can stretch out my door and reach in there and lock it that way for me. But dang, that's a hassle, you know, because now you have to wait for that to happen, for them to come out and take care of that for you. So I'm replacing these. I wanted to make a video just to see if it's something that you want to tackle yourself. I don't have a third hand to hold a camera and show you step by step, so I'm just gonna give you an idea what to expect to see if this is something you want to mess with yourself. Okay, so here's the locking mechanism. As you can see, it goes in just like this. Now there's all kinds of little rods that come off of this. You got first, you got your electrical thing that plugs in right, oh, back it up, right in here, that plugs into there. There's a special way you got to lift this little tab up, and then it'll slide off. Then you got oh, let's see here, you got this rod. It's like it's kind of like a S shape that you have to have it at the right angle to get that in there, and that rod is for this one. Then you got another rod back here that's for the door. Now the door has to come, or the door handle, that has to come off. Okay, so to deal with that is you got to, there's two, I'd say they're 10 millimeter. You could try to get a 3/8 on there, but just a 10 millimeter fits better. You got one in here, and then there's one in, yeah, one in here, and then one in there. And then the door will come off. Then the door handle will come off. You could lift it up out of the way and use the door handle to get it off, because you got to take this out with those 2 rods still attached to it. You see what I mean? You can't take the rods off from the actuator until you get the actuator. This is the actuator, until you get this out. So when you bring this out, you're bringing this rod and that other rod off of it. Okay. And then there's a little snap lock for this. This is your handle here that you pull off. That all has to come off your door panel too. Okay, and then you're probably going to break something. Expect it. I mean, when I was taking this off, 2 of these tabs broke, but it still holds on there without trying to glue or replace these tabs. As you can see there, that's all busted, but there's still one holding it. I'll be surprised if you get it all apart and something doesn't break. Same with this here. These things here, you don't want to put them in there really tight. I would say put some light thread lock on it and just get them snug. And then every once in a while check them, because as you can see, look what happens. Get them too tight, those suckers do not want to come off, and they'll strip out the Allen. So that's what happened. This one stripped out, so I had to use a grinder, make a flat tip screwdriver there, and then use a big flat screwdriver there just to get that off. I thought I was going to have to drill it out, and that would have sucked. But I was able to get it off. This broke off, so that actually was attached to the door, which was right here. That piece broke off right there. Okay, you'll see it's a little tricky. You'll see all these little snap rings on here, or push pins, whatever you call these things. Okay. Oh, okay. So and then that one cable that I showed you is coming out of your door now. That'll attach to this. What you do is you put the cable in there, put the little thing in there, and snap it in, and that's good. And as you can see, that's for your door handle down there. Don't take the door handle off. You can't. And that's the hard thing too, is when you take this big old door handle panel off, it's still stuck by that cable that's attached to the cable to the actuator. So you have to kind of suspend the door, hold it at a certain angle to get that off. Oh, and then this thing here, you can see swivel, so you kind of have to like insert that into it and then kind of start snapping these in here. And then this little sound barrier here, you have to peel that off, because you want to make it easy to get in. And once you peel it off, it won't stick back to it. So what I did was I took this spray adhesive, I lined it. It's the same spray adhesive you use for duct sealing, and I just made a nice thin bead over that. And so now when I press this on here, press that sound barrier back on, it'll stay on there. The wires, pretty self-explanatory. They only hook up one way to your controller. Still a bunch of other bolts. All the bolts got to come off. You'll see they have these little covers right here. This one goes like underneath the panel where the handle, your door handle to open and close the door is, and then there's like a little another square panel that's smaller. And what I used was a putty knife that just pop and pry those off. Same thing with that piece right there that comes along right here. You got to pop that off too to get to all the screws. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say at least 4 screws. So that's kind of what you're faced with, you know. I mean, I'm leaving it all exposed so you know what you're getting into. Now, it is fairly easy for me to reach in here and do all that. Oh, you will notice that this one here screws in to this mechanism here, and it screws in, and you got to make sure you get the right depth of how far it screws in, so that way it doesn't bottom out when it bottoms out too far down here or taps out too far up there. You got to make sure you still got a gap. So what I did was, when I unscrewed it, I counted the number of rotations and screwed it right back in into here, and then fed them through. And that's it. I mean, these ones on Amazon, I guess the reviews were so-so, but I have to get it replaced. So if it doesn't last that long, what can I do, you know? I thought they were reasonably priced, so I'm gonna try it out. I'll probably just make a comment on my own video on how well it worked and everything, but that seemed to be what the issue is whenever this door panel gets hot, the sun's on it, that actuator just quits. It just like, ugh, it just tries to open and close and it can't. Even though all the little arms and switches and everything are super smooth and oiled, it won't matter. There's something else in there. I guess I probably could have unscrewed the whole thing and taken it apart, but when I've done that, all of a sudden springs start flying around and things come apart, and I'll just forget it. I got the new one. Maybe now I'll take that one apart, see if it's something I can easily fix, and keep it as a backup. So that's probably it. I don't think of anything else I could tell you on this. So hopefully this will help somebody if you got a this make and model. I'll show you the kind of what the truck looks like. So, you know, it's just your standard Chevy 2000. This is a 2009 Chevy truck. You know, see if you see here, just a Chevy truck. This is the 3500. I'm sure it'll work with all the other 1500, 2500, all of those. So hopefully this will help you out.